Dave here, and today we're going to check out the work of Ariel Perez. He's a freelance concept artist slash illustrator based in Kazan, Israel. So he does have a focus on character design and maybe a couple of creature designs here and there, but he does have an aesthetic to his work, right? Very kind of almost like what's his name? H.R. Geiger-ish, but not very. Ariel Perez here has more armor in his work. Like they feel more robust and less sexual compared to H.R. Geiger, but they have that same kind of biological dark kind of vibe, right? And what's so cool about Ariel Perez is that he paints with a simple square brush. It's kind of in the vertical position, and thankfully he does have a YouTube channel which you can check out. I will link his links in the description below, but yeah, he does have a very kind of, like, he's kind of messy actually, but as he spends more time with the painting, it becomes more, obviously way more refined, right? And way more presentable. And a lot of his work is kind of just in this not static, but in this kind of standard position where the poses are kind of simple. I think he's more of a designer, I think, with a bit of, I mean, he's obviously good at illustrating his designs, right? But just because of the way he kind of composes his images, he's not into narrative art. You know, he's more about the concept, the design, right? And yeah. And again, you can see him use that same simple square brush, which is super cool. I really like it when artists show off their kind of supremacy whenever they use their because a lot of artists have very simple brush sets, right? And sometimes they'll just limit themselves to just one brush, which I find the most amazing, right? I mean, look at these designs, right? They have that kind of biological look to them, very animalistic in a way, right? Even the forms, they're not super like mechanical, even if these are technically some kind of machines. They're war bots. That's kind of the title of this post. They do have a kind of animalistic nature to them, right? And he's pretty good with doing some highlights as well. When it comes to his textures, the way he illustrates metal, it's kind of, it makes sense and it's kind of realistic in a way, right? And he often likes to leave them in a dark background. It's kind of just his thing. His go-to kind of composition, right? And the designs are also pretty cool, right? But again, if you see him paint, it starts off super messy. It's almost like a scribble in the beginning. And then he kind of figures out the design bit by bit over time. And it's actually kind of inspiring just because he's pretty messy. But over time, you can see his refinement just kind of appear, right? And his forms are great too, you know, it's clear how the edges are kind of edged, right? It's not super vague. He may start out very impressionistic and very kind of messy, but eventually he gets to this kind of super refined kind of level, which is pretty cool, right? So this one's more of a spacesuit, like a sacred spacesuit. I feel like it has a bit of that Egyptian kind of elements to it, right? And not a lot of texture in his work. I mean, you can see some texture, but it's not from like texture brushes. I think it comes off from his basic square brush. Like he actually paints or suggests the this sort of fabric texture from the simple kind of brush that he uses, right? And look at the way he does his lighting here, right? Very realistic. Pretty cool, right? And he's more of a, sometimes he'll do like sci-fi concepts like this, but I feel like he leans more towards a dark fantasy I feel, based on his portfolio. Kind of like this one. Excuse me, kind of like this one. And this one feels very Xenomorph-ish, just because of the armor design here, right? Oh, it's a trilobite armor. I think it's some kind of animal, right? It's kind of like a sea bug. That's kind of weird, and they're actually pretty big, which is kind of creepy. They're like roaches in a way, like deep sea roaches. I do like this thing in the back. It's some kind of squid, and the background is actually still pretty dark. It does have like a green kind of light source, but again, it has that dark look to it, right? And he does have some hue variety, right? You can see some reds. It's not just a solid kind of color, right? Like there's a bit of something in the armor, right? And again, the way he does his lighting, it's pretty realistic to me. Oh, I think he does have a video on this. Whoa! Pretty cool. So this one's more of a warlord, right? And again, you could see him use the same brush. I think it only has like opacity, and everything else is just him doing some paint overs and shit. So let me just play this thing. And fuck. I mean, look at how messy his work is, right? In the beginning. And it's almost as if the artwork or the design appears eventually, just by him being there and just scribbling away. Like it's a bunch of scribbles over scribbles, right? I mean, look at that. And then if we speed things up a bit here, right? He kind of defines the edges, like not even the whole edge of like say the armor piece, but he'll define bits by bit, or he'll define areas bit by bit, and then eventually it kind of just realizes itself, you know, right? And again, look at that brush. It's a simple square brush that's kind of vertical, right? Well, not square, but rectangular, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, he kind of darkened up the background because that's kind of his thing, right? And it actually takes, I'm not sure how long this painting would take, or this session would take, but oh, he does zoom in a lot, because he's not like some artists like Feng Zhu or Anthony Jones, or even John Juan Liberto, where they just kind of zoom out and they don't really zoom in. They only do that like in the end maybe. But for Ariel Perez, he likes to go in back like once in a while, or kind of constantly back and forth, zooming in and out, right? And even though it's very messy, he's actually kind of into the whole detail thing. It's pretty cool, right? Shit. Oh, he hasn't added color yet. He does the designing in grayscale, which is a very useful tip. A lot of artists or professionals do recommend that you do most of the design in black and white or in grayscale, just because it helps to help you focus on the design rather than the... I mean, color is part of the design, but you want to spend the first part, I guess, working on the forms, working on the shapes, right? And when you're doing that, you don't actually need to use color, right? So you can always do that in the end. So eventually, Ariel Perez does blend things in the end, like bit by bit, adding up some highlights here and there. But again, look at the way he was able to handle the reflectiveness of the armor, right? Very, very realistic. So at some point, he does add color. I'm not sure how he does it, but oh shit, I think that's the color balance, right? Or is it hue and saturation? I think it's hue and saturation. Yeah, it is hue and saturation. So he does it in a flattened version of the image. I mean, look at his layers. He's very direct, right? Not a lot of layers. So if you're kind of a simple dude, or if you're not into using too many layers just because it's kind of hard to keep track, and if you're more of a direct kind of painter, right? Just kind of a straight to the point kind of artist, add Ariel Perez to the list, right? Oh, he does it not exactly. He does it on top, right? And he puts it on overlay. Whoa. he does the hue and saturation on a new layer, and then he'll put it under the overlay blending mode, and then he paints in that layer. Interesting. Oh, he does the ground as well. So he does his coloring in one layer under overlay blending mode, right? With that simple kind of rectangular brush, right? And then he'll do another paint over on top of the color, because once he has done this color phase, everything the colors are pretty much established, right? So I think this part of the painting session is more about adding the finishing touches, right? He's not worrying about the colors anymore. He's just kind of tidying things up, making it a bit more prettier, right? This video was sped 15 times, so if we so this painting took a while. Anyway, I was going to do some math there, but I'm not good in math, so I'm sorry. Oh, he added like a few like design ornaments here, like some emerald something. So this guy is kind of fashionable, some kind of royal guard. According to this post, he's a warlord of some kind. Oh, he removed it. Oh, maybe he's just doing the fur underneath, right? Look at the armor here, right? The texture, he painted the fucking texture, right? That's pretty amazing. And that's pretty much it, right? So this one's more of a not necessarily a sci-fi, more of a dystopian kind of warrior here, or soldier, right? Reminds me a bit of the work of Mikhail Baruko. I did an art review of his work before. I think it was my first art review. A lot of helmet designs here, iterations, right? And again, it's more about the design, right? And what's so cool about Ariel Perez is that he does pretty much like, he has a niche, right? And that kind of helps him just, like, he's the best at what he does, right? And I was listening to this video, and this guy he gave this side comment about making money. All you have to do is be in the number one, or be in the top 1% of any field, and you're surely going to make some money, right? And I think that's kind of a nice safety tip. If you want to be safe, just be the best, or you don't have to be the absolute best, but just be part of that 1% of whatever field you want to be in, or whatever niche you want to be in, right? Because if you have like a field, you can always make a different kind of niche, a different kind of field, right? That's a bit more unique, and you can be the number one in that kind of area, right? So anyway, now this one does remind me of the Xenomorph, right? Just because of the skull and the leg design, right? It does get more, it does get more refined on top, and you can see in the bottom, he just leaves it as it is, very rough, right? And again, simple square rectangular brush, right? Now this guy has a bit of emotion, and there's a bit of a pose involved, so it's already starting to become somewhat dynamic, right? Oh, and by the way, whenever he does his feet, he likes to add some pointy shoes. That's kind of his thing. I'm not sure why, but it's kind of his lean, right? So here we have a mech, and again, it's still more about the design, right? Again, simple rectangular brush with some opacity in it, and that's pretty much it, right? So these are more of his sketches here. A very, very dark concept. Now you're actually seeing this guy. Sorry, you're seeing this guy from above, right? So this one is a bit more dynamic, but I do like it. Right? It reminds me of one of the pieces of Victor Hugo Harmatiuk. He did this fan art of Diablo, I think, and he had like a similar kind of creature design to this. Anyway. This one's an Astro Knight, according to him, right? Looks more like a SWAT dude just because of the shield, right? But pretty badass. Pretty badass. This one's based off of a samurai. It's a nuclear samurai. I can tell by the bomb here with the caution kind of symbol, or with the radiation kind of symbol, right? Oof. Death. Now for these ones, he does have like faces painted. I think this guy is definitely influenced by the Xenomorph kind of or by H.R. Geiger, I think. Just because of the forms, right? Yeah, I can tell. Genius. So these are more metal dragons, right? Ooh, awesome head designs. Damn, they're more like kaijus in a way. Or mechanical kaijus, right? Damn! He obviously does the grayscale in the beginning, and then he'll add a bit of browns and greens, right? He doesn't overdo the colors, which I do like. It has a very kind of toned down kind of feel. So these are great examples of his creature / mech designs, right? They're amazing. So here we have more saturated colors here, but they're more accent colors, right? Grayscale. So more like design iterations, right? And again, it helps to just keep the, sorry about that. It helps to keep the view kind of simple just because it gives you more time to focus on the design, right? And you can do like a bunch of them quickly, right? Because you will have to spend more time when adding colors. Obviously, right? So, yeah. Fuck. Some more sketches of his. Very scary face. This one's badass. Chainsaw arms. Fuck me. And maybe this guy's being fueled by some gasoline. This could be like a suit, like an armor, like an Iron Man kind of suit in a way, right? Maybe he needs help to kind of lift these like enormous freaking arms, right? Very, very dark concepts. Again, very, very H.R. Geiger-ish. This one reminds me of one of the mechs in the Pacific Rim, the one piloted by the Russians, right? How can you move with this sort of thing? Now this one is more like fantasy. Very, very kind of what's the Mordor designs, right? Think Lord of the Rings, right? Interesting. It's a crab armor with a shrimp gun. Or with a prawn gun. Very, very interesting. I love how he was able to implant the idea of the crustacean kind of forms onto the armor, right? He even has little arms here. Whoa! Even in the back, whoa! To kind of signify the legs, maybe, of the... Or the multiple legs of a crab, right? Whoa. Interesting. Interesting. Now this one's more dark. There's this kind of goblin kid, maybe, offering a big sword to this warrior dude, right? And all of this texture you see, that's just him painting the fucking texture, right? Christ. But it shows you how if you just spend more time with the painting, you can eventually reach a level like this, right? It seems like these are more of his intestines, right? But maybe they're more like power cables, but they seem so flesh-like, right? Anyway, now this one is entitled "Not a Xenomorph," because it does look somewhat like a xenomorph just because of the forms, right? But I love how he didn't go for like a black, like a latex kind of texture. He went for a brown one. Which kind of differs obviously, but it's still very insecty and biological. He did add hooves, kind of like a horse's hooves, right? Or a goat's hooves. The arms are kind of, it has like a gun. Wow, that's fucking awesome. And it has like a nice tail. Reminds me of the creature in Splice. There's this film called Splice where they genetically create this kind of monstrosity of a baby, but she becomes like this hot creature, which kind of turned me on in a way. But then eventually she became like a dude. She ended up like fucking both of the parents, so that was kind of weird. But I love the girl version. She was really cute, and hot, right? Anyway, oh no, my perviness is coming out. Yeah, awesome design here, right? And again, oh, he did use a white background for this one. Okay. This one's more of a colonial security. Very, very armored. Almost Halo-ish. I'm not really a gamer, but it seems very armored to me. He can actually do some pretty cool sci-fi stuff. Not just dark sci-fi, but like typical sci-fi types of designs, right? It starts to become somewhat biological when it comes to this part right here, right? When it comes to like the cables and the undergarment, right? But for the armor, it's like a standard sci-fi kind of look, right? Oh, we have another video. I will link all of the links in the description, so no worries. So let's just explore his process, right? And I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. Oh, he uses a different brush here. It's kind of just to establish the major forms. But it's still kind of set in a vertical kind of... Oh, he's using the same brush for pretty much everything, I think. But it has a bit of slight texture. Not too much, but just enough, right? Look at how messy it is, right? Gesture after gesture. They're more like impressions, right? Impressionistic. Am I right? And then over time... So this video was sped up like 10 times, right? So, if we're... I'm going to try and do some math here. So, does that mean... divided by 60. So this might have taken 4 hours. That's just my math. Hopefully, if you're somewhat intelligent or if you're not retarded like I am, hopefully you have the same kind of math results. Right? So it's like a 24-minute video. Right? Divided by 60. Yeah, I think it's about 4 hours. 4 hours long. So that's kind of long. Hopefully this guy does take some breaks, but I think he does, but who knows, right? That is cool. I mean, look at how the design is in the final design is not present in the not fully present in the beginning, right? I mean, the most of it is, right, the major forms, but he kind of figures out the details bit by bit as he goes. So that's pretty cool. And he does have the navigator on. I don't usually do this thing, but I think it helps, you know, to just see the bigger picture, right? So that's it for this art review of Ariel Perez. I do recommend you follow him on ArtStation, obviously. He also does have an Instagram. And obviously I do recommend you check out and subscribe to his YouTube channel, right? So thank you for watching, keep drawing, keep painting, and stay free.